You know, that's, I think even the president, the first president of the United States knew very well about the benefits of actually growing hemp and its various uses. We know that as a state, by and large, Georgia is still has a very low percentage of minority contracted businesses, right? And that's why we always tell people, hey, this is a former slave state. You may have gotten rid of the institution, but the money didn't evaporate.
Right.
And if you don't address the thoughts of those who thought that institution was necessary for our state to grow, then you won't have people who will better advocate to see that our workforce, as well as the benefits to our communities, have a mutually shared aspect, that we won't allow for our state to function in a way that damages our communities.
That's right.
And we won't have undue burdens being placed on those who can't fend for themselves, only so that those at the top can reap the most of that benefit. So it's necessary for us to be able to expand cannabis as an industry. It's necessary for us to be able to talk to those who are in our community who have mental health challenges about the necessities of using low THC cannabis for their means to be able to medicate, as well as to be able to heal them through a journey, a process of healing. And we have to make sure that while we are advocates for this process that will certainly allow for businesses to better sustain themselves, even through a rough economy, as a brother Eric has been able to share, we know that we can't turn our backs on the rampant incarceration of individuals who are only using means by which to get cannabis in their hands to self-medicate. We know that our state has made lots of money for incarcerating people who are just trying to make sure that not only can they be healed by it, but also that they can feed their families in a state that, again, has so many barriers for individuals to be able to acquire a better life for themselves by having dignified work. Again, this is just vestiges of a very inhumane institution.
Right.
But we're here because we are not ones who will let that priority fall by the wayside, but we're going to do even more than advocating for the policy at the Capitol. We want to support the good minority-owned businesses that are in this area and the ones that will come into this area. It's not simply about opening the door, but it's about making sure that everybody can get into the room. Now with that, I will also make mention that we were fortunate enough to have with us the presence of the chairman for the Georgia Legislative Black Caucus, Carl Gilliard, representative from Garden City.
Yes.
All right.
He just made it.
He just made it here. He had to go back. He's got a long, about 3.5 hours to go back to Garden City.
Oh, wow.
But the good news is that for the largest black caucus in America is in the state of Georgia, and when we can have our leadership realize very publicly that this is an area that we as a community need to tap back into, and we need to tap back into our roots as farmers, but also what can we take from the seed and bring to the market.
Come on now.
This is about us being more than just farmers who were forced into free bondage. A free practice of being able to make a lot of money for the state, but not to be able to reap any of the benefits. We're not doing that anymore. And I think lastly, I'll just say that unfortunately, got a lot of members for our House last year when we dropped House Resolution 349 for the creation of the Georgia Africa Legislative Caucus. Right now, Africa has the biggest it's the biggest free trade area in the world, the Africa Free Trade Continental Area, which is on par, it's on par with the euro. You think of the European Union before Brexit had a multi-country contract where it allows for business to be able to take place with all these countries. Well, guess what? The continent of Africa except for only one country, all the countries who are members of the African Union decided to create an African Continental Free Trade Area to finally allow for a lot of big shipments to take place, as well as a lot of business transactions. And we want to make sure that Georgia has a stake in that.
Nice.
Okay? And so it's time for us, when we're looking at this, it's great when we can think about our state. But I think the reason too why we're all here, we understand that this is part of our legacy as African Americans, that we can enjoy being in every respect American. But if China is all over the continent of Africa, then there's nothing stopping us from being able to make the connections, but also go beyond the ceremony. We need to have positive business transactions with the continent, and we can certainly be able to continue that with the cultivation, with the bringing to market of hemp products. And so fortunately, we're here. We can allow this conversation to continue, but I want to make sure that we can be able to hear some words from a sister who was actually putting it down in this role as state representative before I was even here. I heard about her. My fundraiser, Josh was like, "Hey man, you gotta really talk to Park Hannon. Do you know Park Hannon? You know, with the glasses." I was like, "You know what?" I said, I've seen her do her thing, but then I actually had to be there in the flesh, in the chambers, and see that so many of the battles that have been waged on the front lines in that capital, that $32 billion capital, where we had to make decisions that affect every aspect of Georgia, and I had to take a step back and look and watch my sister do her thing. So let's bring up for you our representative for this area, and that is Representative Park Hannon.
I just want to be really clear. There is still a war on our lives as Black people, as people who have experienced incarceration, as those who still labor and work in the workforce that does not value our time, does not value our families or our sacrifice. There is still a war on everything that we are experiencing. But still, we're resilient. And I just want to thank you all for coming today, because the goal of this legislative reception is to realize that time is ticking. Legislative session has the longest day on Monday, and that's crossover day. We will be at the Capitol literally until midnight. And for me, in order for my body to feel okay on days like that, I need some CBD. Okay? Amen. My legs hurt, my foot is a little something right now, my shoulder has an issue from my arrest. All of these things happen. And so there's a confusion among some members about what is CBD. Is it different than THC? Not that we stigmatize THC either in our community. However, there's just a misunderstanding of what's possible. Right. But as I've gone around and invited people to this event tonight, whether they were able to make it or not, they had their personal stories about CBD. They told me about how much they actually love CBD, and they wish that they had a place that was less than 15 minutes away from the Capitol where they could come and get some. Yeah. So we're today here at CBD City just to network, to bring people back to this event. I just want to thank some of my community members for being here. We have hosted events here before, helping people get out the vote. Right. When we had marijuana on the ballot, we had an event here then. We helped register people to vote here. You can host your own events here. If you just have a book club that wants to come and meet here, they can come and meet here. If you know a few senior citizens who want some way to deal with their joints and their pains, they can come and talk to Lance. And they can also sit, and enjoy. If there are young people who are trying to figure out entrepreneurship, they want to kind of be in the business, maybe they were in the THC business and they kind of want to be in the CBD business, like what does that really look like? They can come here. So CBD City, we just thank you for having us. The legislation doesn't matter unless we have people like you. So Lance, I want to pass it over to you to just tell us, how did you get this place, and what is, what's on the horizon, and how can we be of support to you?
Well, first of all, thank you. What I can tell you is why we're here. It's a very special neighborhood for me. 45 years ago, my mother's first job was across the street when I was around 10 years old. Okay, today is March 2nd. I lost my mother on March 3rd. So here we are in her spirit, because she brought me to what we call a sense of community. I ran across these streets, and then my mother met Dr. Walter Young, and he invited us to his brother's campaign. I'm 10 years old. I see a brother with an afro say, "Think young." 45 years later, I come back as a city councilman from the city of East Point and a businessman in my community. I went to high school right down the street, which was called Southwest, now is Jean Charles Young, transferred to Mays High School. So this is truly my community. Now, back to the cannabinoid, which is known as CBD. We have an endocannabinoid system in our body. We have an endocannabinoid. We have a endo-CBD system in our body already. So our body is designed to take this natural organic nectar from the hemp plant and put it in our body because it takes it naturally. CBD1 and CBD2 receptors organically and helps heals your body. They just closed a hospital in the city of Atlanta. They downsized to one in East Point. Our community, which is already have major health disparities, we need holistic health care options in our community. That's why we're here. Earlier today, we met with sickle cell anemia for the third time, because our first event here, we did a fundraiser for sickle cell anemia, which is right across the street. And been there 40 years. We've raised close to $1,000. We had been there only 3 months in this very room.
Yes, that's the money.
We now, because this is a $12 billion industry, this is just the hemp, not the cannabis industry. It stands alone at $12 billion. And you're right, we have the hemp fiber that is going everywhere. Nike are doing sneakers now in hemp. Levi's are doing jeans in hemp. BMW's doing their dashboard in hemp. The fiber is phenomenal. I, as a black man, launched one of the few hemp sustainable apparel lines in fiber. So now you can come into this industry, you can have your own products, you can have your own store, but you can also have your own apparel. We have sustainable hemp apparel. We are here to serve our community. We love our community. So this is just a vehicle to just continue to help and work for our community. I'm so happy to be here. I mean, I love this community. I go from East Point City to CBD City. That's my life. Thank you.
Now we have so many folks in the room. It's gonna be a lot if we go and talk and talk and talk and talk. But I do think that we should just, if you want to, just kind of go around.
Can I, this is what
How
I
you gonna do?
Okay.
How you gonna do it?
So when I have events, I do who's in the room. So I'm gonna point to you and you just tell me who's in the room. All right? All right then. Who's in the room?
Hey, my name is Troya. I am a novice with CBD. I don't know anything, so I'm here to learn. Thank you for what you shared. Thank you, and thank you, Representative L. Harvey.
Who's in the room?
Hey guys, I'm Jacqueline Jennings. I'm a CBD coach. I'm a life coach, and I live, breathe CBD, and I'm excited to just learn from you as well.
Oh, before we go to the next one, this is a yoga room. So we focus on health and wellness. We do a free yoga class twice a month. Who's in the room?
Hi everybody, my name is Cheryl Merritt, and I just work native Atlantan, coming to learn about this and support Lance and Johnny.
Who's in the room?
Valerie Belt Jones, school teacher, Finch Elementary School, but I taught from kindergarten to college, had 3 daycare centers and throughout the years. And so now with my aging profession, perfection, I need something to keep me going, and so I want to get more information. I'm delighted that Park asked me to come out. Second time I've been here. And I do a lot of community services, so I'll be informing you all on our next event, on our next gallery, or by email through Ms. Cannon.
Who's in the room?
My name is Jackson. My relation to CBD is that I believe it actually saved my sister. She went through a few traumatic experiences back to back, and the relief it gave her kept her going. And she's now on track. She's got a beautiful 5-month-old baby, and we're so proud of her.
And before I do our next introduction, we have a dedicated nonprofit. Our dedicated nonprofit is Special Needs Siblings. It helps our families with autism. We are so community focused, and that is headed by the organization right across the street, Tommy Dortch III's wife
Yes.
heads that up. So we are totally community focused. Who's in the room?
Chris Brown, you in my community, so like Lance, born and raised in this area. I also went to, I didn't go to Gene Young or Southwest High School on the Gene Childs Young. That was the first class
That's right.
of Gene Childs Young and the conversion. But I'm also your public safety commission co-chair, your advisory board, public safety committee chair, everything cannabis and education in this space. So it's a pleasure to be here, man.
Who's in the room?
What's up, everybody? My name is Emmanuel Layla. I'm a 25-year-old senior communications major at Morehouse College. I'm also the chief creative officer at Morehouse at Sovereign Sounds, a creative agency based in East Point, Georgia.
In Ward A of East Point, Georgia. And this young man has been a tag onto our Sustainable Green team. He shows up all the time. He's documenting our content. Morehouse grad, and I love the opportunity to cultivate and mentor young people. Who's in the room? Thank you, Layla.
My name is Jovan Davis. I wear a lot of hats, and CBD helps me sleep.
I like that. I like that. Who's in the room?
How you doing? My name is Kyle Hobson, 2021 Morehouse grad, currently the policy director for Representative Almighty Holly, but as well as that, former and current employee within cannabis and cannabis education, specifically within the area of community organization and community education. As well as that, I'm a creative within the Atlanta space, and use both hats to build synergy and create community within both.
And before I want to acknowledge my business partner who's not here, Johnny Mills. This could not be possible without a collaboration and partnership, so I want to lift him up. Also, just as we have our second store open up in East Point in less than 7 or 10 days.
Whoa!
We got a 5-year contract on that one and this one, and we are ready to continue to serve our community. Who's in the room?
Nobody special. I'm Joe Man. My thing with cannabis, for the most part, cannabis helps me sleep. You know, helps me stay focused, keep me calm. Background, Georgia State graduate. Former. All right, what's up, man? Peace Normal, former communications director. Now I'm the SSDP, which stood for System Drug Policy Advisor with Georgia State, and just happy to be here.
Did you bring somebody with you?
Oh.
Come on, little man.
All right. Who's in the room?
Good evening, everybody. DJ Terry. I am first a constituent of the Great Park Canyon. So I live right up the road here on Campbellton. But during the day, I'm the chief of staff for Councilmember Byron Amos in District 3 of the Atlanta City Council.
That's my guy.
That's my guy.
Who's in the room?
Jonathan Harris. I work for Representative Cannon as her local legislative person, and I used to live in this district, and so that's my name.
Fantastic. Before I get to you, we'll also acknowledge the Black City Councilman of Georgia was started last year. That Georgia has about 530 or 60 states, I forget the count, cities. We have about 50 cities that we've identified Black City Councilmen. We formed a coalition, never been done before.
Nice.
We oversee collectively, we're not the state, but for municipality, we're close to $2 billion. So we have an opportunity now to create equity policy and communicate in collaboration with that. So I mentioned that just to understand that we have another layer of resources and connectivity in the municipal space. Who's in the room?
How you doing, everybody? My name is Mecca. I'm a podcaster and journalist. I have a brand called Cash Color Cannabis. We've been doing Cash Color Cannabis since 2015, technically, but we went on air in 2016. Lance has been a guest. Lance has been a guest as well as many other people. We had Kwanzaa Hall on the show. Freeway Ricky Ross. A great slew of people has been on. But the overall goal of what we do with Cash Color Cannabis is to highlight Black voices and Black brands in cannabis.
But also now, when he has his events, his shows, he has a chef there. He has a live audience, about 30, 40 people.
Yeah.
Plus all the legal festivities you need to enjoy yourself. It's all there, and I thank you for that. Who's in the room with the brim?
My name is Eric Richardson. I'm the executive director of the Atlanta North Georgia Labor Council. I'm also a lobbyist for the Communication Workers of America. I'm the president of the Coalition of Black Trade Unionists as well, and I'm a state party, state committee member for the Democratic Party. I was formerly the political director. My daughter, during the pandemic, she was in special events. So when the pandemic came in, she had nothing. She ended up moving in with me. In 6 months, she had bought a car, her own insurance, got an apartment, and I'm like, girl, what you doing? She was selling CBD online.
Ooh.
And her dad had gotten bursitis, and I'm walking around with some pain. And she said, Dad, what you doing that for? Try some of this. Man, the pain went away. The pain went away. Hey, the Lord gave us every herb.
That's right.
Testimony.
So why are folks trying to restrict what the Lord has put on this earth for us to use for our health?
That's everyone in the room. Let's give ourselves a hand. And let's do it. Group kick right quick. Group kick right quick. Thank you, Park. Thank you.
Oh my gosh, I love that. You see what I'm saying?
Come on,
We love
come on,
each
come
other.
on. Everybody up.
Make it work.
Everybody up.
And
That's back in community. Memphis, who's the tattoo artist. She gets all the art.
We'd love to have you on the podcast. I actually
That's
did this
fine.
with you
Of everybody else
long
to say.
time
And
ago.
Sue Ross, those are her pictures on the wall.
Hillary
She's our
Clinton is
in-school
actually
curator.
isn't it nice?
I remember walking
You see
around
what
the
I put
neighborhood
this,
with you.
that I ended I later back there because and I got Thomas Focus myself like yeah, that's something.
I'm still out here.
I see you.
Lance, what you want to do? You want to?
That's right here. Everybody come
Okay,
right here.
good, okay.
Yeah, right
So
here.
were you in Illinois?
Jackson, you gonna take it for us?
Yeah, Southwest Illinois.
All right, y'all, we about to smile.
Yeah, I was at Southwest with this was style.
About to cover up all this liquor.
No,
We about to smile.
No, I don't know. I'm not familiar with her.
Yeah, I'll get you one.
Who's